Hi, I'm Eliezer.
Hi, you sexy
I'm Eliezer
chaps.
with 117.
Hi, you sexy chaps. My name is My name is Saul August. That's my.
And
Hi, you sexy chaps.
actually, our whole group couldn't come because of reasons.
Just they had
Ma-
things that they had.
Yeah,
to
me-
do, so we as you said.
Yeah, Mega
whatever.
came in and couldn't be here, so
Yeah,
we're actually gonna do something a little different. We're not gonna do video games. We're just gonna sit
Talk about
here and
French
talk for
love.
15 minutes. So if you, I mean, we might not talk about much stuff that is interesting, but if we actually talk a lot, so we just thought like.
movies, fat
yeah.
chihuahuas, diabetes.
Okay, let's just start. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, like as I told you, I think that lawsuit, just I actually like it a lot. I mean, I got really into it.
Yeah,
And I like all the characters. I like how, in general, like I like all the what do you call it? The kind of like the mysteries that they found on the island, you know, and all the some of the revelations, but not that much. I just started it, but as I was telling you before, the series has some issues. There is some very interesting parts that I do not like at all, but overall, though, I think from now, so far from about the 7th episode to now, it's gotten better. But still, there are some episodes that are freaking boring. But like I said, I really am enjoying it though.
Yeah, I actually haven't
exciting.
seen Lost. I've
just
heard of
started.
it, but
I've just started this.
The-
I never
the,
checked it out.
series that I'm actually starting, I told you, I'm watching Stargate SG-1, which I really like. They have really good characters and they
Diabetes.
what? Yeah, they have really good characters, and if you actually like the movie, you might actually like the show. Although I finished season 4 Stargate SG-1, and I've got to say, I wish they spend more time with Daniel Jackson. I mean, I know there are some episodes that has Daniel Jackson, but not much. But I mean, leave a comment and say what you think. Don't spoil anything because I haven't watched season 5 yet. So yeah.
Yeah, with me actually, there's actually this new series called Bates Motel, which I want to see. It actually premieres on the 18th of this month, March.
Oh yeah.
So I'm actually very excited to see that. Which I'll me and Eric can actually do another one of these, and I'll tell you what I think about that.
For those of you who don't know, Bates Motel I think is based on Psycho.
Well, it's based on the movie Psycho from like 1960 something. I forgot what year.
I've only
exactly.
seen.
But basically, it's basically based. It's actually a prequel to that story, which is based basically upon when Norman Bates was a child. And basically, it's sort of like about what made him become the man he is today, which is obviously an unpleasant guy.
Oh, by the way, we're also doing this at school, so please ignore the background
Yeah,
noise.
that's the custodian. That's exactly.
So, wait.
Yeah. Also, there's also another series I have watched 2 episodes in a quarter of. I watched some episode 3 also, but it's
Walking
that show.
Dead.
It's that show Breaking Bad. I just started watching last night. But that's a very funny TV show series. But it's also got a very interesting story. I think to see. It's basically about a chemistry teacher, a high school chemistry teacher, who basically makes meth because he has lung cancer, and basically he sort of wants money, I guess. I don't know why he does it exactly. But
He likes horror movies.
Oh yeah, I like movies like Saw. I've seen those. I've seen all those. They're really, really good in my opinion. Other than the last one, it's crap. But
for me, I'm more of a science fiction, fantasy type movies, but I don't mind horror movies. He's actually shown me all the Saw movies, and they're all right.
yeah, he actually like the third one the most actually.
The third one was great.
But for me, I watch anything. I'm not really picky. Let's like Lost. Lost is not a horror movie. It's not
I don't.
It's very different.
I bet it has scary moments in it.
I mean, there are some moments that are scary, but mostly it's basically based around the fact of mysteries, suspense, stuff like that. But there are some skeletons you see that are pretty weird. They're kind of creepy. They actually are. They creep me out sometimes. But overall, though, it sounds like a funny series. It's more based. I think it's more scary than any. I think it's more mystical.
Yeah.
Mystery is the most thing. It's more of a thriller, but secondly, it'd probably be kind of, in a way, kind of connected to a horror genre, but not like scary exactly. This is kind of strange and kind of kind of creepy. I mean, if you don't like seeing skeletons, you see a pretty decent amount of them so far.
Yeah, the movies I'm mostly into is like stuff like Star Wars and fantasy movies like Narnia. Well, I'm not a big, huge Narnia fan. I just like the movies. But when it comes to horror movies, I don't watch them all the time. But if I get a chance, I might watch a few.
And
Like,
for me, like,
yeah.
well, I've seen so many. Like, I mean, I've seen all the Saw films. I've seen even weird films like Hostel and things like that.
Oh, yeah,
I've seen the
Hostel.
Human Centipede. I have opinions on all of them. I think that, to be honest, I think the Saw series is very underrated. A lot of people can't stand
Yeah,
it.
I know.
And they say stuff like it's torture porn. It's all about torture this, torture that. It is not. To be honest, if I had to say anything, it's a lot in a way. The Lost series in general. It's funny as how they came out in the same year actually, but Saw is kind of that mystery element to it. It's kind of how Lost has these little mysteries, but they take longer to get actually, you know, what the answer is. With Saw, it's kind of like how Lost is on mysteries, but the only difference is that it tells you them literally right after the movie's over. It don't waste it. Now there are some things that don't tell you, but they give you a lot of mysteries. They give you a lot of explanations that are really shocking. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Decent amount are. There's some things I don't like. To be honest, you know, even with Lost. You know,
There are stories like Saw where all people think about is the traps and the gore and all
yeah,
that.
I haven't watched the Saw
Like-
series just to see the
Like,
kill.
I feel the same way about the Halo games. If anyone doesn't know, Halo is an Xbox game that I am a big fan of. But lots of, but for me, I think people misjudge Halo. I don't think it's not your typical first-person shooter game like Call of Duty or any other game. I'm not saying every first-person shooter other than Halo is bad. I'm just saying that, I mean, Halo, there's more than meets the eye with Halo. There's a story, there's good characters, kind of like Saw, where there's a huge story developing with the whole game.
And there are things you learn about new characters and things like that.
And also, people also complain that the Halo games are pretty short. Well, they're a part of the story.
Yeah.
Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3,
Just like
Halo
with Star
4.
Wars. I mean, every piece of it is kind of like a big puzzle. Every piece is a part of it. You can't just watch like one, you can skip to 3 or 4 or 5. It really can get confusing. I mean, literally.
Yeah, I know.
And also, one thing for me with video games particularly, I actually like the Jak and Daxter series, which came out around similar
Oh, yeah,
time when
I've
Halo
heard.
came out, but a little bit after Halo came out. Not too long after, like 2000, like a year.
Oh, by the
or
way,
so.
I grew up with the Xbox and Nintendo.
And I grew up with the PlayStation. I grew up with Nintendo as well, but mainly the PlayStation. Like when I was about
I mean,
7.
I used to play PlayStation with a friend of mine. Not Austin, but a friend of mine like a while ago. And I mean, I don't hate PlayStation. They're fine games, but I grew up with Xbox, so that's where I lie with. And yeah.
See, like, I prefer PlayStation over Xbox, but with me, video game wise, I think that I find it funny. Like they have kind of like a versus with Jak and Daxter, my favorite series, and Ratchet and Clank. Those series I think get reversed a lot. Personally, I prefer Jak and Daxter over Ratchet and Clank, but Ratchet and Clank does have a lot of great things about it that Jak and Daxter will never have. Literally, it's got much better weapons. It's got, in my opinion, more useful characters like Clank. He's way more useful than Daxter will ever be. Daxter's so unuseful, to be honest. But with Jak, one thing I think that makes it much better. Personally, just for me personally, because I'm big on stories, and Jak and Daxter, I mean, even playing the Ratchet and Clank games, because I actually had them now, and I played the first one, and they have some decent elements to them, story-wise, but to be honest, the overall payoff is nothing compared to the Jak series. The Jak series, the first one don't have a great payoff, but the second and third one have amazing payoffs, in my opinion. They have just shocking, funny, and just enjoyable payoffs overall.
I can't think of any other game other than Call of Duty where people compare it to Halo, because honestly there's not much to compare. I mean, all you can say is, hey, they're first-person shooter games. The only thing that makes Halo much better than Call of Duty is that Halo actually has a story. Call of Duty is just random stuff. Like, I remember at Target once, and I saw an advertisement for Black Ops 2, and it said the future is back. What future is back? There was no future to begin with. I remember, I mean, the first Black Ops game I really loved. Then the second Black Ops game is kind of is like in the future. What happened?
It's just like that's what happened. Back to the future. Back to the future, you know.
Oh yeah.
But for me, personally, with Call of Duty, I'm not really into Call of Duty. I think that Call of Duty would be great if it was actually like a series, like its own story based on like a military series. I think it'd be awesome, but no, it's completely random. Like really, they go from one completely different thing to the next. Like, I mean, from the future to regular to the past to completely random crap.
Yeah, I know.
Personally, I think it would be amazing if it was its own.
With
story.
Halo, they
can actually really cool.
With Halo, they connect. Well, with Halo Reach, Halo Wars, and the spin-off ones, they're not about Master Chief. They're about other characters, but the stories still connect. Like, I think Reach is a better example. I didn't really like ODST that much, but with Reach, it actually connected with Halo 1. Well, I know you've only seen some parts of Halo, but remember in Halo 1 where you're in the ship and you're fighting the aliens?
Yeah, I think so,
Halo Reach actually ends with that happening, actually. It's kind of like in Harry Potter Part 1 and 2. The last one.
Like they'll end off with one thing, and then the second one basically start off right where it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like stuff like that. Like even with the Saw movies, they do that. A very good example of that. Like I mean, Saw 2 actually, the end of it. They go from one thing. The Saw 3, right whenever Saw 2 ended, they show the guy from that particular. Now they do this to every movie, which it'd be kind of weird if they did, to be honest.
No, they don't do.
And I kind of like the fact that they don't, because it lets you kind of get to different environments and get used to the fact that they won't do this all the time.
Well, with stuff like Star Wars, it tells you what happens with the opening credits. By the way, I love all the Star Wars movies. I mean, lots of people don't like the prequels. I kind of like them. I mean, I bet a old school Star Wars fan would hate the prequels, but I grew up with seeing Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, so I see what people don't like about them, so yeah. So.
Yeah, you know, for me, like personally, I'm more of a person who really enjoys a good story, and I like seeing. Like to be honest, with Lost, I've heard about that series, and I just started it, literally. I think I started like at the end of February. I watched the first 7 episodes, and then I kind of quit for a little bit, and then I just started watching more. But now I've already finished the first season.
But you've got to remember, you can't expect everything from a movie. Like stuff like Transformers, you can't expect there to be a deep story to it.
Yes, exactly. See, with Transformers, personally, I think there are some actually deep moments.
There is.
But there's some things I would say that aren't very deep at all. But even with Saw, there are some things I think that are pretty cheesy, mainly in the last one. But even with the other ones, there are some things that, to be honest, they show you. But I'm not sure if everything. I'm not sure if they explain every detail. But from what I know, I believe they did. But I haven't seen. It's been a little while since I saw them together, anyways. But like with Lost, to be honest, there is a lot of things that they haven't explained yet. They talk about. So I mean, I've only seen the first season, literally. So I haven't seen nearly enough to see if they explain everything or not. But people say they haven't explained it. They don't explain everything. I don't know. I'll have to see.
With the Stargate, they're explaining almost everything so far. They haven't gone into much detail on who the developers of the gate was. My dad actually told me that the last season explains who made the Stargate, but so far they're really explaining lots of stuff. Like,
and it's good to explain things, because for me, like personally, like I hate it whenever movies or even video games or even like TV shows, like
stories in general, like Harry Potter and Hunger Games and all that other.
I mean, I want to say, there are some things where stories aren't perfect and explain everything, because sometimes they have a lot to explain.
Transformers.
Like, Harry Potter's a great example, because Harry Potter in general, there's so much movies and there's so much books.
Yeah, I know.
There's lots of crap that you might have missed.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like with Lost, it's a big TV show. I mean, so I personally, I think they should explain a lot of things, because I don't like when shows get all these questions and they're just like, we're not going to answer any of these, so don't expect it. You know, it's just like, come with your own answers.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's funny with Saw? There was actually one question a lot of people had, and the actual director of the third movie, it was in the third movie, the question, but they actually were not going to answer it. They actually were not going to. They actually said that
Oh, for
but they were not going to answer though. Actually, what they were going to do is they were actually just going to leave it alone. But the director of Saw 6 decided to explain it, and that was a very good decision because I couldn't imagine the fact that they explained that.
We just reached the 15-minute mark, so we're gonna just end it with saying,
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope we make a part 2. So
yeah.
See